Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chuchu Reviews, the show where I take 4 random, unrelated albums, and I stick them in a blender, and then I review them, I rate them, and I rank them. Simplicity achieved. 3 of the records this week were pulled from the comments, so if you have an album you'd like to see featured, why not drop a nomination, and who knows, you might just get lucky. So let's introduce this week's combatants in alphabetical order. Firstly, we have Sulk by The Associates from 1982, which was nominated by Paris Minto. Next we have The Honeymoon is Over by The Cruel Sea from 1993, which was nominated by Gary Gillam. Then we have Natural Magick by Kula from 2024, which is my own personal pick for inclusion. Lastly we have Hurricane Bar by Mando Diao something or other from 2004, which was nominated by Bruno Miranda. So now the battle lines have been drawn, let's be complete rankers and rank up a storm. This is Chuchu Reviews. Coming in last this week, we have Hurricane Bar by the Swedish alt rock band Mando Diao. Mando Diao? I'm going to stick with Mando Diao. Yes, this is the way. Anyway, this was the Mando's second LP from 2004 and represents the band's peak of success, with the record gaining traction in places like Germany, Austria and Switzerland, as well as their native Sweden. And what we have here basically is an album of Britpop. Of course, in 2004, Britpop was all the rage once more, with bands like the Libertines, Franz Ferdinand, Keane and the Kaiser Chiefs resurrecting the genre for another go-around. And Mando Diao fit right into that zeitgeist, despite not actually being from Britain. Indeed, certain tracks such as God Knows and Clean Town are perhaps trying a little too hard to be in the zeitgeist, clinging as tightly as they can to the sound of the Libertines. And that's kind of a microcosm for the entire record, as the album noticeably lacks any kind of originality. Everything on this LP sounds like something we've heard elsewhere in the Britpop sphere. But the band also aren't elevating anything. They aren't bringing any of their own flavour to the table or adding any distinctive elements, which is something that the other bands in the second wave of Britpop, such as the previously mentioned Kaiser Chiefs or the Libertines, did do. Instead, the Mandos merely plump for straight emulation, which is a bit of a disappointment and leads to a lot of anodyne paint by numbers tracks such as The Dream Is Over, White Wall, All My Senses and Kingdom and Glory fouling up the back end of the record. Added to the woes of its uninspired direction is the meat and potatoes production style that has no nuance, as well as a guitar tone that stays the same throughout the entire LP. This makes a lot of the songs sound samey, which is a fault compounded by the record's over length. At 14 tracks and 50 minutes, this is just too long and the band really should have bumped 3 or 4 songs off of it. So as you can probably tell, I'm not really digging this particular album, but it isn't a complete loss. Although the guitar tone irks me somewhat, the playing itself is nicely melodic. The band do have a nice way with spangly arpeggiated riffs. Likewise, as you'd expect from a Britpop aping record, it can also be fairly catchy and the band do turn in some memorable choruses. Highlights include the opening cut The Rope, which kicks the record off with a fun blast of youthful punky energy. Eventually that relentless energy becomes overwhelming, but here on the opening cut, it still sounds fresh and invigorating. Down in the Past is pretty cool, as it lets its bass line breathe and has some nice twinkling guitar parts that add a little delicacy to the arrangement. While You Can't Steal My Love has an appealingly melancholic melody mixing with its memorable descending guitar riff. Plus it has a catchy sing-along refrain that delivers those Britpop goods. But yeah, ultimately a handful of good tunes can't save what is a pretty uninspired mire of blustery Britpop filler. But still, as I said, it's not completely hopeless. 2.5 stars.
Congratulations, Mr. May. You saved your betrayal. You stinking master of trouble. How does it feel to ride all those horses?
Next up we have The Honeymoon is Over by the Australian rock band The Cruel Sea, which was their third LP from 1993. And a brief nod goes out to the band's name of The Cruel Sea. I mean, that's a pretty badass handle right there. And what we have here is a pretty rad album of country-inflected roots rock with an excellent rhythmic pulse to it that perpetually gets your toe tapping and your head bobbing. The singer of the band is also notable for having a very gravelly Tom Waitian voice that totally goes hand in hand with the Americanized country vibes. But that's not to say that the album is totally stuck in the Roots direction, as there are some fun detours into Caribbean soundscapes, as well as a total of 5 instrumental pieces that mostly do a good job of adding atmospheric texture to the record. And talking about the instrumentals, that seems like a good place to start. Opener Orlean Stomp reinforces the album's general Cajun flavour. The Right Time has that nice Caribbean calypso vibe that I was talking about, while the likes of Slide In and Seems Twice show off the band's skill with sliding guitarists and cavorting organ lines. Other highlights include the title track The Honeymoon Is Over, which is a great country-inflected rocker with some really cool revving steel guitar slides on it. Delivery Man has a grimy roots feel and a sweaty cocksure swagger that's a lot of fun. Naked Flame has a reggae sheen to it and impresses with its jiving Caribbean keys and wicker wiring guitars. Woman with Soul is a slow groove with some good use of space and a persistent rhythmic bass line, while Better Than Love has some wicked scratchy guitar work and an awesomely thick bass that gives the track a funky slither. That said, there is a little bit of Vegemite hiding in amongst the delicious Mr. Skippy. The back-to-back late album pairing of the final, rather bland instrumental XN Pop and the lyrically on-the-nose and way too cringy Let's Lie Down and Make Love does bring the momentum of the LP to a screeching halt. And that's a real shame because without that dip I would have probably bumped up this album's rating by half a star. But this record is still good enough to make you want to go down the bottle-o, buy a couple of tinnies, squeeze into your budgie smugglers, do a shoey with a couple of Bonjour Sheilas and throw another shrimp on the barbie. Struth, this album is something of a cracker. 4 stars.
So when we steal your things and break into your home, I can reassure you, I'm not alone. Many people and the proof can be shown. There's no such thing as safe zones. Running down the street in the pouring rain, burning down the houses in the neighborhood again, stealing pet food, dragging my chain, bathing in the light of a naked flame.
Next up we have Natural Magic by Kula, which was released just a few weeks ago in February 2024 and is the band's 7th LP. And here the Britpop survivors continue their late career renaissance unabated. The band's previous LP, First Congregational Church of Eternal Love and Free Hugs, was absolutely fantastic and quickly became my favourite Kula record. But the band have done it again here, smashing another majestic home run with an album that is crammed with killer tunes, radiant vibes and doesn't have a solitary weak spot on its entire tracklist. The album trims off the more theatrical elements of their last record and concentrates solely on providing a lean set of super catchy 1960s Beatlesy style pop, while also bringing back some of their trademark Indian elements in the process. And yeah, it just absolutely slaps. Highlights on a pretty flawless release include the Rolling Stones style classic rock of the opener, Gaslighting. Waves is an incredibly catchy blast of Britpop that shimmies like the 90s never died. Title track Natural Magic is textbook Kula with its rocking 1960s psychedelia. Indian Record Player is utterly delightful with its lightweight wispy catchiness that gets immediately lodged in your head, while Something Dangerous goes all in with a Simon & Garfunkel homage, perfectly capturing that act's beautiful folky charm. But the hits, they don't stop there. I Don't Want to Pay My Taxes is a super fun stomper that sees Crispin Mills rather sensibly concluding, I don't want to pay for World War III. The anti-war sentiment is continued on the following track, F-Bombs, as Mills deplores of all the senseless war and violence no matter where it comes from, even letting James Bond's organisation feel the length of his lash. MI6, up to their tricks. All you motherfuckers can go suck a dick. While the closing track, Give Me Tomorrow, is a beautiful Roy Orbison style epic ballad that has that old school pre-Beatlesy slow dance texture to it. So yeah, Natural Magic is an absolutely joyous record. I love it and I've been kind of obsessed with spinning it recently. It's arguably Kula best album to date and comes very highly recommended. 5 stars. So, the Chuchu Review's gold medal this week is going to go to Sulk by the Scottish new wave act The Associates from 1982, which was the band's second LP and represents their commercial peak, with one of the album's singles, Party Fierce 2, breaking into the UK top 10. And what we have here is a truly excellent LP of off-kilter synthpop that mixes a dense layered production style with gothic post-punk darkness and poor rock and roll suicide boy Billy Mackenzie's captivating and booming vocals. There's a really weird discordant energy to this record that makes it sound a bit unhinged, but in the best possible way. Particularly strange and impressive are the thick walls of ethereal backing vocals that lend the tracks an epic, almost operatic feel. The record is just so good at creating a consistent mood and a pungent atmosphere that completely absorbs you all the way through its runtime. As for highlights, that would almost be a moot point, as I think the overall atmosphere and vibe is the biggest highlight. But the individual tracks are also fucking crackerjack, so there's plenty to talk about. My cherry picks from an LP that doesn't lull even once includes No, which impresses with its delociously dark atmosphere, shrieking guitar revs and vocals that sound not unlike Robert Smith in batshit mode. Bap de la Bap has an undulating wall of white noise in the background that gives the track a creepy nightmarish quality that's pretty rad. Gloomy Sunday has a peak Echo and the Bunnymen vibe with its swirling gothic darkness, death-obsessed lyrics and Mackenzie's awesome vocal gymnastics. Nude Spoon sees the band channeling David Bowie pretty hard, but they do manage to bottle his jittery, urgent charm quite well. There's also some manic squalling guitar on the track too, which is wicked cool. Party Fierce 2 is a pristine new wave classic. It's super catchy synthpop imbued with a kind of luxurious element that somehow dredges up images of country manners and swanky dinner soirees. It's just an awesome tune. While Club Country is great with its dramatic synth stabs, oddball weirdness and instantly memorable chorus. So yeah, Sulk by the Associates is a classic masterpiece of its genre that doesn't put a foot wrong and still sounds fresh and unique to this day. It's an absolute must listen, a hard 5 stars. And that's another episode of Chuchu Reviews in the bag. Of course, I know you'd rank these records differently, so why not sound off in the comments and let me know which one would win for you. And maybe drop a nomination while you're there. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and all that other kind of YouTube jazz. Make sure to take care of yourself, but most importantly, just keep on ranking.